If your organization is ready to enhance cyber resilience, we have important insights for you. The 2024 Level Blue Futures Report sheds light on how rapid computing changes affect IT visibility. Our research reveals that while IT leaders see positive outcomes, 85% acknowledge increased risk. In this report, we identify the barriers to cyber resilience, the challenges impacting cybersecurity, and the business contexts that reveal operational issues. You'll also discover what's on the horizon and 5 essential steps for prioritizing cyber resilience. Get your complimentary copy of this crucial research today. Visit securityweekly.com/level blue. Cybersecurity simplified. Graylog elevates enterprise-level cybersecurity through its comprehensive SIM, centralized log management, and API security solutions. Built on the Graylog platform, Graylog Security combines SIM, security analytics, threat detection, and incident response capabilities. Unlike traditional SIMs, which offer complex and costly setups, Graylog Security simplifies security and operational challenges with an optimal blend of licensing, people, and infrastructure costs. To see a demo, visit securityweekly.com/Graylog. Welcome back to Enterprise Security Weekly. Now for the latest news coming out of Microsoft Ignite. Why do a special segment just on Microsoft Ignite announcements? First of all, there are a lot of announcements. Second of all, Microsoft is the largest security vendor by revenue. And third, Microsoft is the biggest target out there. So anything new they're doing, anything they change has a big impact on vulnerability management, on asset management, on security plans, all that stuff. So we're going to spend this segment just talking about Microsoft Ignite. If you want to check out some of the stories, just like the regular news segment, you can check out securityweekly.com/ESW385 if you want to follow along. And click the links to the articles we're discussing here. So right off the top, they're changing some names of stuff. Let's see. Yeah, so rebranding. So Windows 365 is now a thing. You know, they have like a VDI thing going on, and they're selling a little box for $350 called Windows 365 Link. And
Really?
yeah, and so they're calling that Windows 365. So I assume, well, there's got to be some kind of local operating system because you can connect it to two 4K displays and you can connect your flash drives to it and all that. But the version of Windows it's using is actually in the cloud, so it's properly a thin client.
So
So
I've been
that's
following
actually
when. Oh, go ahead.
story number 7.
Oh, wow.
Go ahead, Eamon.
Wow. Yeah, I've been following Windows 365 for a while because I don't know, with every once in a while I just want to like throw my laptops, in the trash, like
Yeah,
throw all the computers away and just like, can I just get a cloud machine that's like, when I change from the office to the couch to this, different environments. And I've been following it for a while, and the lack of local internet, like what if the internet cuts off, right? Am I still gonna be able to do any work? So I
right.
I might I might have to play with this.
Yeah, and I mean, so that's the first thing I thought is, what if your internet sucks? And then I thought about all the work that I do. I'm like, well, I'm not doing anything anyway. Even if I have a local operating system, if the internet sucks, nothing's getting done.
Well, I'll be writing.
So,
I mean, you can write. So sometimes, in fact, sometimes people go offline on purpose to write. Um,
right. I've got separate
or look.
devices for that.
Yeah.
I've got my Remarkable.
Yes. 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 So that's exciting.
Yeah, I actually have an ancient PowerPC MacBook that I sometimes use for that also. That's just absolutely useless on the internet, but I can write with it.
Very cool.
Yeah, when I think
So
about the Windows ecosystem, you have OneNote, SharePoint, and probably like about 50 other services, and being able to access it on a whim directly from this type of device that is very portable. All you need is a monitor to hook into, I think, is pretty powerful. And I wonder what the specs are in terms of like compute power and processing power. Um, but it's only $350, so I think it's very powerful, and to me, it kind of resembles that of like a Mac Mini. That
Yeah.
it looks almost exactly like a Mac Mini, except the Mac Mini is much more full fledged than the Link.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's even smaller. I think it's more like an Apple TV size.
oh wow, yeah, so super portable, and yeah, I think Microsoft, in terms of hardware, they've it makes up a huge chunk of their business, and introducing this probably we'll see over time how much more it brings into their revenue and bottom line, but I think it's a great addition to their fleet 100%.
But it is not for home use. It is only for, or you could use it at the home, but you need corporate licensing to use it.
Oh wow,
Yeah, you got to have
Mm.
Microsoft
interesting.
365 subscription to use it. So you
So
could use it at home, but you'd need a Microsoft 365 subscription and a few other things to be able to use it.
hmm.
But it's
So
designed just for
that,
business.
yeah, that's interesting, because then that kind of cuts off the consumer
Mhm.
pool, right? So I'd have to dig into this one more, but it does seem very useful, and maybe this is paving the road to something bigger later down the road from Microsoft.
And it's interesting because it's only a desktop format, right? This is not they don't really have a laptop version of this. Um, but maybe people use, I don't know if they still have Windows S, which was kind of Windows, but you can only get apps through the App Store. You can't just download and run software from anywhere. With the idea of making it more secure. So I wonder, if this is VDI has always been a better way to kind of control what employees can run and management of data and stuff like that. So I wonder if there is kind of like a more manageable security footprint with a device like this, using VDI in the cloud basically.
I'd imagine so.
But I
I'd
wouldn't be.
imagine that the footprint is way smaller than a full fledged PC. 100%.
Yeah, I would bet that it's probably like an ARM processor in there, some kind of low cost, like a MediaTek or something like that, like just enough to run, the multiple monitors, something, maybe not Raspberry Pi power level, but probably not too much more than that.
From a security perspective, running browser isolation and just taking that approach could be so. Weighing the two things before people would go to Citrix. A lot of financial institutions actually had like Citrix and all those kind of environments. So this would be great as because with everyone on Azure and with the same licensing, so it makes it easy. One less product to worry about. But I know when I'm thinking about how do I lock down like customer service folks or whatnot, I am looking like people coming on with their own machines. I am looking at some sort of browser isolation or some sort of zero trust model. This could be a competitor, but it depends. At $30 a month per person, I'm not sure. We'll
Yeah.
see. Starting at least, right? So, on a personal front, I just wanted like a remote machine with big GPUs, so I could just do a lot of video editing from anywhere. But
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And that's, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. I'm here at the supercomputing conference. So GPUs are everywhere, and that's a big thing as well. Like I know Azure now has the new NVIDIA Blackwell chips, that you can
really,
use through Azure. Yeah, which is supposed to be this big leap in performance. Jensen Wang just had a big conference about it last week. I was watching the keynote, like a abbreviated. Somebody had edited the keynote down to like 20 minutes or something like that, and yeah, I mean it makes sense, but also I think people are kind of worn out with subscriptions at this point.
yeah,
So Microsoft 365 subscription per user, Windows 365 another subscription on top of that to use a virtual Windows VM VDI. Same thing with Amazon, by the way. If you use their VDI solution as well. Yeah, I
That's
think
pretty
it's
serious.
also around $10 a month or something like that. And then if you want to use Copilot, that's another $360 per year, which is what, $12 per month. So you
Wow.
start, and that you haven't even bought any security software yet. Like, how much is the average company willing to spend in a monthly subscription per employee?
It's a
For
great
folks
question.
to, yeah, Microsoft's licensing needs like a PhD, like just to go through its license. I've went to
There are
companies, to
consulting
clients, and
shops that do nothing but that, but like help you
it
figure out Microsoft licensing.
it drives me bananas. I just their levels and what's included with what. Oh, I
Mhm.
can't handle it.
And they're
Yeah.
always changing their service names, so
Yeah,
just makes it
yeah,
more like the Olympics.
yeah, yeah.
Speaking of
You're
which,
right.
Speaking of which, and getting back to the first story here, Microsoft Office is now Microsoft 365 apps. The
Oh,
icons for Microsoft 365 apps now have a little Copilot icon within them, so you get an icon within an icon. And the icon for Microsoft 365 is now the Copilot icon, but with M365 stamped on top of it.
oh yeah, that's not confusing. No.
Not at
gotta
all.
keep gotta keep innovating, man.
I mean,
Ouch.
half the people
Yeah.
I talk to haven't even caught up with Entra ID, with
Yeah,
Azure AD becoming Entra ID. And it's just, yeah, and it's so funny if you watch the video. So this links to a video, the story number one here. They have video of the guy unveiling the new icon for Microsoft 365, and dead silence after he announces it. So he starts to clap, and then like maybe 10, like the video pans to the crowd, and maybe 10% of the people are like,
face palm. You know.
yeah, the crowd is completely
Ouch. Yeah.
underwhelmed.
Wow.
I don't
I
even
always
know why you
wondered.
would like why would you even think anybody would naturally clap for that?
Right. And it's this is in Microsoft's DNA by now. Renaming services and redesigning icons every 1 or 2 years, and I don't know how they haven't gotten the hint that this pisses people off and also confuses the heck out of its users. So, like, why would they keep making it a major announcement within a keynote or the reveal of a service or update? Um, they should know by now that people don't like having the rug from under them changed, right? So
Yeah,
um, it's annoying, but
maybe
it's pretty,
people
yeah.
aren't doing it. Maybe Copilot's doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe
That would
people
be
have already
some
been taken out of the loop.
Black Mirror 3.0 stuff right there for sure.
Yeah.
Or maybe it wouldn't be so bad if they did just turn it over to Copilot and let Copilot roll with it. Maybe it is
It's
people.
another
Maybe
good point.
people are the problem.
Yeah,
I,
and
Copilot.
when you think of when you think about organizational like dynamics, when you bring in a new head of marketing, they want to change things around. They want to redo the website. They want to
They
go
want to put
big
their
and,
stamp
and
on
kind of
things.
exactly introduce major changes. And so maybe this is us feeling the thrash of maybe there's a lot of changeover within the organizations that are leading these services. That could be a symptom of it, right? So who knows?
Yeah.
anytime a
if
company
And,
if
and
changes
yeah.
its anytime a company changes its logo or anything like that, I always wonder what that discussion was like in the marketing meeting, right? Like, oh, hey, let's do this, just
it's yeah, it's a lot. It's everybody trying to get their, what they want out of it. Rebrandings are so painful. I've been through a few of them, and it's madness. It's every
yeah.
bit of as painful as you might imagine. So, yeah, moving on to the next one here, story number two. They've gone like they're going full Clippy with this now. So the Copilot being like a little tab on the side that you can interact with if you want to. It looks like agentic is like the new AI
Mm,
buzzword
hmm.
that I hear everybody saying now, and that's kind of the update with Microsoft Copilot here. Is now it's functioning as more of an autonomous agent, where just like Clippy, it's going to like jump in and pester you and be like, "Hey, I can do something here," like in the middle of a chat, or you know how the Slack bot sometimes jumps in and interrupts you with something like, "Hey, do you want to enable the integration to Google Drive or something like that?" Like that's now what Copilot's going to do more and more of.
Wow. Just sit back and watch. Just grab some popcorn and watch this whole AI thing. Just I don't know.
So,
It's amazing.
well, so I'm eager to hear back from people that use this new version. I'm going to try it out myself. I have Microsoft 365 and a Copilot license just because I do so much advisory work on it, so I can be familiar with it. But there's a lot, and this is my story number three. There's a lot more here for admins. One of the big complaints was you couldn't really tell what Copilot was doing. You couldn't tell what employees were doing with Copilot. Were they more productive? Were they not? You know, so there's now a lot more feedback and visibility for admins to tell what's going on in their environment with Copilot. And I think there's potentially a positive here if Copilot, if thinking about how people are going to use Copilot is actually changing how you administer things in Microsoft, like talking about how the licensing is so confusing. The
Yeah.
confusion doesn't end there. Like doing everything in Microsoft takes like 6 or 7 extra steps than it should, and it's hard to find the documentation. And if this solves that problem, if this makes administration easier, which as we get into Security Copilot, a lot of these updates are just taking normal, everyday administrative tasks and making them much easier, and you know potentially you can fully automate them with Copilot. So I think that might be a welcome thing if Copilot forces them to improve administration.
100%. I Go ahead, Darwin. I have some thoughts, but yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I can see a massive value add for repeatable workflows, tedious menial workflows like offboarding people. If
Yep.
Copilot integrates with Azure, or even Active Directory, it could automate, say, offboarding. It could automate updating an Excel spreadsheet based on an email. It could automate those things that has expectable inputs and outputs. And so, from that standpoint, I see it as a massive value add for any organization who's truly bought into the Microsoft ecosystem. 100%. There's no way that this doesn't help save time and make things more efficient. Now, how much can you trust the quality of the output of Copilot? I haven't played with it myself, but for the like light level analyst type of work, all day. Go ahead and save me time, and so I could focus on the more important work.
Yeah, I'm really excited because administering Azure is pretty painful in my opinion. So if I were to have something there, and maybe because I come from an AWS background, but talking with other folks that have used Azure, it's still hard for them. Try enabling WAF in Azure. Um, it's it's a pain. I don't know if you've done it. I've been doing it lately, and there's a lot of hoops you have to. It's called front door and all this kind of stuff. So it'd be great if I had an agent there to help me out and tell me what buttons to click or just walk me through. That'd be great. Or even tell me where I am. And even actually, what if you could just help me get my Azure instance SOC 2 compliant? Wow.
Mhm.
Like that could kind of replace other vendors that are out there that are supposed to
Yeah.
integrate into your Azure. It's like, hey, make this app SOC 2 compliant, but leave this other app here, leave it alone. That'd be very interesting.
And there's a huge ecosystem of vendors out there just making Microsoft less painful, you know, so there is an opportunity to disrupt the ecosystem that they've kind of created here. And honestly, you shouldn't have to. But what amazes me about Microsoft is how consistent they are, because administering an Xbox is equally as painful, right? Like
Mm.
even there, it has this Microsoft DNA of things taking way too many steps to do, and important features being buried too many levels deep. That should be up front. Like just going through, like trying to figure out how to hook up with friends and play online with
Right.
Xbox Live, or trying to figure out how to adjust the volume on your headset or something. Like a lot of this stuff is buried so many levels deep in the UI. Like, who designed this?
That's a good point.
Microsoft.
That's a good point.
So they are
Yeah,
consistent.
yeah. Yeah, and, one other example is that if you create even just onboarding users into Azure and giving them the proper roles and permissions that they need to be able to action against certain services, you have to do it in two places. You have to do it within the Entra ID tenant, and then you
Yes.
have to assign it RBAC roles and
Oh,
permissions. So I had to create a like a tutorial document
yeah.
um, to show people how to bring on new users into Azure, and it was at least 2 pages long. And it shouldn't be that hard, right? It should
It's
all be
ridiculous.
centralized in one place. I want to add Adrian, and I want him to have admin privileges to everything, the entire tenant, including all of the resources, and that should be less than like about 5 clicks, maybe. But with Azure, it's 20 to 30 clicks and many
So bad.
screens, and if you don't know, then you're just stuck in a perpetual cycle of just pain. And Microsoft needs to figure it out. I think they need to rethink their UX approach for sure.
And it's funny because
This
you go
sounds like
over
a
to
therapy
Google
session.
Cloud.
Yeah,
It does.
it is.
It's funny. It's
Yeah.
so crazy. You go over to Google Cloud and they want you to do, like, doing all that same stuff that you just described. They want you to do it all in the command line. So they want you to learn
Yeah,
all these
that's true.
command lines for stuff. So it's funny how different the clouds are as you jump between them.
I had a post a while ago that you could tell the kind of company you're working with by their cloud environment. If they're
Oh,
AWS,
really?
then they have money and they just want to get things done and they're ready to go. If they're GCP, they're more engineering focused and developers, and they like they're doing things by command line. And if they're a Microsoft shop, well, they're more of a traditional business that is like, has enterprise people from enterprise as founders, and they're like just using Microsoft. So it's a little snarky, but it's been pretty much true that I've noticed in the past 7 years.
Yeah. Moving on to some of their security products. So Microsoft, or security exposure management, is a
Oh,
is a new product here, and it looks kind of like a Chasm product where they're bringing in all the asset information, all the vulnerability information into one place. So external attack surface management information, internal vulnerability stuff, because they do have Microsoft Defender vulnerability management now. All the Cloud Defender stuff, Office Defender stuff, IoT Defender stuff, Cloud Apps Defender stuff, Identity and Endpoint Defender stuff. That's not even all the defenders. I don't think I mentioned all the defenders. Entra ID and something called Microsoft Secure Score. I don't even know what that is. But all that is pulled into this one environment, which feels kind of like a Chasm play, like a Exonius or a Jupyter one,
that's
but
exciting.
just focused on Microsoft stuff.
Yeah, I remember so it seems like a pattern where they're continuously consolidating like their massive fleet of services and just rebranding it. And this points back to kind of like my snarky comment of you have to keep the innovation going. Just repackaging already existing stuff and then giving it a new name is not truly innovation. But we saw this like 2 years ago where they um, renamed Microsoft Security Center into Microsoft Defender for Cloud, and then they had their other Defender for XYZ services, which um, Microsoft Defender for Cloud encapsulates all of that already. And so the Secure Score is basically a component of Security Center, but they didn't rename that. They kept it as is, but now they're renaming it. And it's like these services have been around for the past 4 or 5 years, and it's just continual repackaging of stuff. And you have like the external attack surface management module that they have. That I'm pretty sure that came over through their acquisition of CloudKnox.
Risk IQ.
So it's Risk IQ. There you go. And it's so they're having a lot of fun at Microsoft with the renaming.
Yeah, so also there's just wrapping up the security news here. They've got a $4 million bug bounty. That's not a bug
Yeah.
bounty for any single thing. That's like the total pool they have. It launched 2 days ago, I think, on the 19th, and it's 2 months long, so it wraps up on January 19th. So you have a limited amount of time to get in on this $4 million pool of money that they've set aside for bug bounties, and it's mostly focused on AI and cloud stuff. So they have defined kind of a scope here. So if you do bug bounty stuff, there's some cash available on hand for that, but for a limited time only. So
It's the
get in
Black
on
Friday of Bug Bounty. It's his
that.
wow.
Literally. Uh,
I
and then
man, maybe you could point a co-pilot at their cloud endpoints and just let it iteratively hack at it, and maybe you could come away with a couple hundred thou and spare some change over here to me and Adrian.
That'd
use
be
their own
nice.
tool.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get on that.
I
I think if I
mean,
tell my kids to do it, it might motivate them to get into computer security. So
yeah, money's a good motivator for sure. Um, there's some updates for Security Copilot, which folks I've talked to have been pretty underwhelmed with. So hopefully this jumps it up to a place where it's. I mean, they've got their own studies, their own values here. You know, they say faster mean time to resolve, up 30% faster than before. 17% fewer breaches. I don't know how they how they're figuring that out. But they do have Copilot in Purview now. Purview is their data security product line. So DLP type controls and things like that. Their data labeling, all that. More capabilities for Copilot in Intune. They now have some third-party plugins. They say over 15 new third-party plugins, which probably means 16, including ProSec. Maybe they mean CrowdSec, Netscope, CyberArk,
it's like, yeah.
etc. So I don't know.
I
Is
was
there a
curious about
CrowdSec?
that.
Is that a misspelling of CrowdSec?
I don't know. Yeah, is that like CrowdStrike? Is that I don't know. Yeah. But it's
No,
interesting, the whole plugin
CrowdSec is
ecosystem.
a crowdsourced like IDS, like threat intelligence play out of France.
I see.
We've actually had them on the show before.
Okay, that must be it because they have a big Copilot icon on their logo on their
There you go.
front page. So might be a misspelling. But what's interesting is, here are my thoughts on all this. AWS was one of the first leaders in cloud, and Azure and GCP took a while to catch up. However, we all know that the oldest and most mature player in the security field has been Microsoft, right? Even Apple learned a lot, had to catch up big time, right? So I think it's an amazing opportunity for them to combine their like expertise and tribal knowledge of security and apply it to their products with all this stuff. So I'm kind of excited from a security perspective. We'll still need an extra person for the licensing and all that, but I'm excited. I think we underestimate Microsoft's role in security throughout our industry, right? So
I think
Yes,
that's a beautiful
and
place to go. Go ahead, Darby.
yeah, I was just gonna say for right reason. Like Microsoft has had a very rough patch as it relates to security over the past 5 years, and their cloud is probably the most vulnerable cloud out of the major players. And so, though they have all this tribal knowledge, and they've been the longest running security business and have the largest security business by revenue, they still suffer from from very severe ailments as it relates to security at scale with cross tenant critical severity vulnerabilities
Yeah.
for very core services. So it's like a lot of people are seeing these announcements come out and seeing Copilot, but CISOs are not necessarily, they don't like Microsoft hasn't fully won their trust back or entirely ever. And I think it's rightly so. So I think Microsoft has their work cut out for them. But there is a massive greenfield of opportunity where, as it relates to Copilot and Security Copilot integrations with Azure and the other Microsoft services. So that's a great call out. But Microsoft does have their work cut out for them.
That's true. I mean, there was a Azure OAuth vulnerability that was pretty bad, right? But
Well,
uh,
hence the reason they're throwing down $4 million. We
Yep.
can't seem to do it, so let's
throw money at the
let's
problem.
Yeah. Let
let's
the
see
smart
if
folks
other
figure it out.
yeah. So I think that's a great place to end on you know, Eamon, your optimistic hope, your cautious optimism that maybe things get better here. I think the bug bounty's going to be great. I hope people find a lot of stuff and Microsoft fixes it. But we'll go ahead and wrap this segment, and we'll be right back in a few moments with the normal non-Microsoft weekly enterprise news.